Hey, Merry Christmas. My name's Daniel Yang. I'm part of a church planting team in Chicago called the Prodigal Network. 2020 has been a crazy year, but something amazing is going to happen in 2021. And really, that's what this video is about. We're talking about building a home. And we think that as we come out of 2020 and as we're thinking about a new year and a new time together, what better way to celebrate a new season than to think about creating spaces for other people? And that's really what Christmas is about. When God sent Jesus, He was creating a home for all of us in Christ. And so I want you to really enjoy this video. I hope that it inspires you. And then come back on the back of the video. I want to talk about a couple opportunities for you to help build a home for others as well.
What comes to mind when you hear the word home? Maybe home is a skyline that represents the city you love, or the corner bakery that sells your favorite childhood treat. For some, it conjures up warm images of family, Friday family game nights around the fireplace, or warm meals during the holiday seasons. Maybe it's a place of safety, of being known and loved. For others, home conjures up feelings of heartache, of fighting and people leaving, of guilt or shame. There's this parable in the Bible in Luke 15 about a father who wanted to build a home for his two sons. We aren't told much, but we know that he filled the home with the best he could give to his two sons. We're talking servants and robes and riches. And what's so beautiful about building a home like this is a vision beyond just your own family. Any architect would tell us that without vision, without framework, we can't build a growing structure. For the father in the parable, his vision for building a home wasn't just for his sons. He had a vision for people in their community. Meet Curtis, Chua, Heather, and Matt, and listen to their unique stories of building and experiencing home in their communities.
My name is Curtis Spivey. Chicago is home to me. I was born in Chicago. My parents lived on the north side of Chicago. When I was 3 years old, they moved. When my brother was born, when I was 3, they moved to Harvey, Illinois, which is on the far south side of Chicago. I have family on the west side and the south side of Chicago, so I was able to see, and a little bit on the north side too, so I was able to see all parts of Chicago in all aspects and all areas, so the good, the bad, and the ugly.
My name's Chua Tao. I've actually lived in Chicago in 2017 and 2018 briefly. I love Chicago, but I was just having a little struggle there, and I decided after a little over a year, I moved to South Carolina, where my parents were at. Just kind of save some money and pay off some student loans, but I knew South Carolina wasn't for me, and there was just a calling for me to come back to Chicago. I didn't know what it was. At first, I was like, it's a bigger city, a bigger opportunity. I'm going to move there. South Carolina is too small for me. I love South Carolina and my family, but Chicago is for me. So I moved back here in August this summer. So I love it.
My name's Matt. This is my wife, Heather. We moved up to Illinois about 5.5 years ago. We both served in the Army and got off of active duty, and I was lucky enough to get a job up here just outside of Chicago, and that's what brought us up here.
Well, Good Morning Aurora is the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We broadcast from Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m. Back in March of this year, I lost my job. I'm in dire straits. I still have all my financial obligations. There appears to be no light at the end of this tunnel. And yet, my friends who have businesses, right, or whatever, they keep calling me and texting me and asking me like, yo, Kurt, hey man, if you know anybody, who's hiring or something, man, Kurt, help me out, Kurt. I can't even help myself out. And none of my friends could do one basic thing anymore, right? They couldn't, they no longer had like that little disposable income. They no longer had that little opportunity to do extra things. They couldn't do a little pop-up shop no more over here. They couldn't do that anymore. They couldn't have people come into the store, they make them a little something and they get something free while they check out the little things. They couldn't do that. That was the basic bare minimum thought I had pretty much the night before I started Good Morning Aurora. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna rep for my friends who can't, you know, I'm up anyway, right? I'm up.
I live in Lakeview in Chicago. Being single there and being around with so many other young professionals and students my age, I do find it difficult to meet people. Even though people are walking around everywhere, I thought that it would be easy for me to meet people. I had a few friends, but it wasn't around a Christian community, you know? I never had Christian or Christ-like conversation. I keep thinking to myself, I was like, I don't think I've ever had like a very deep Christ-like conversation around the Bible, or not just around the Bible, but what is God doing in my life, you know, like today. Like I don't reflect on that, and that's what I'm hoping for. When I moved back to Chicago the second time, one of my childhood friends was still living here. Even in 2017, I met up with her a couple of times. But this time was different, you know. My sister had told me about the church that they're planting, and I didn't put much thought into it. But Linda reached out to me on Facebook and invited me over to her house, and she started to explain me what TPN was. And I was there, I wanted to support her, you know, so I figured it doesn't hurt to go check out their church and see what it's all about, you know, and I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I'm here right now, this day.
I always had like this idea of having a big family, I had 3 brothers growing up, and so I always liked running around with them, outside activities, and so when Matt and I were dating, I was like, I want 5 kids. And he's like, no, 3. I was like, okay, we'll see. Like, but yeah, just like a big farm area, running around, just having that close connection. And
we have a 3.5-year-old daughter named Evangeline. She was the first addition to our family, and a little over a year ago, we suffered the loss of our son Gabriel to preterm birth, and it was a very difficult time for us. And you know, some point thereafter, the idea of bringing adoption into our lives sooner than we anticipated entered my head, and Heather and I started talking about it and taking it, you know, much more seriously, and it's led us to where we're at now, and you know, fully into the adoption journey.
In a perfect world, our longing to build a home would be smooth sailing. But anyone who's lived in this unpredictable world knows that even on our best days, the journey of building a home is anything but smooth. Disruptions, disappointments, our brokenness and sin, these are unwelcomed guests that complicate our journey. And as we get further into Jesus' parable, we learn that despite the father's desire to build a good home for his sons, his younger son leaves. He takes his father's inheritance, he cuts familial ties, leaves the community, and doesn't look back. And the older son isn't much help. He's self-righteous and angry at both his father and his younger brother, yet he does nothing about it. Instead of being a builder with his father, he acts like a bitter tenant. Building a home, while a beautiful and worthy endeavor, doesn't come without risk and disappointment and pain. And maybe we don't know we're actually building something until we experience risk and disappointment and pain.
And every day I'm doing this, right? The way my bathroom was set up was that tub, toilet, you got the sink right here in the mirror. Every day I get up and do this show, after I recorded and all that, shut the laptop, when I stand up from the tub, I stand up and here's the mirror right here. So now I'm back to reality. And what's reality? I still ain't got no job, right? I'm still like in dire financial straits. And I still got all these legal obligations with all this money. So one day I'm with my mom, right? And we're having coffee, and again, like, you know, I'm just getting the overdraft notifications on the phone and all that. You know, it's not a good day. And I'm telling my mom, like, yo, like, people keep hitting me up, asking me to, you know, do they know what I can do? I can't help myself. And my mom was like, you know why they're doing that? I was like, why? She was like, because they believe in you. She was like, they're going through something and they're calling you. So I stopped looking at it, right? I was like, wait a minute, she's right. And I knew that in the back of my head, but the idea that, but my struggles and my own problems were at paramount in my thoughts. And I'm in my bathroom, like recording it in my pajamas. So I just kept doing it and doing it. And those people kept me going.
There are days that I just stay in my apartment, you know, and I know that's not good. So just taking that risk, like I can't be cooped up and in home all day, you know, and I got to go outside, just walk, and maybe I'll bump into people, you know. It might not happen right away, but all I got to do is just continue doing that, and then one day I will. Some unknowns that I'm facing right now is just recently my work is temporarily closed due to the pandemic, you know, and I'm trying not to worry about it so much or thinking about the unknown, because things has been going great with my relationship with God, you know, and with TPN. But just not knowing what job opportunity I'm gonna have if it comes my way in the next couple of weeks, you know, and just in the past months that since I've been here, I've been thankful and grateful that I've been able to have some savings that I've been living off, and I did that for a reason, you know, like God gave me that for a reason to come to Chicago, perfect timing to, you know, be a part of the TPN community and not really have a job, but I'm still living off my savings in order to enjoy Chicago and TPM all together. So that is a little nervous, you know, but I've been praying about it and just putting it in God's hand, and something will come in the next couple of weeks. So.
Heather and I are both instinctively pretty private people, but we found the best way for us to go through this process is to share it with our friends and family. So getting out of our comfort zones, using social media to actually, you know, interact, you know, with the people that we can't physically be with, and providing updates and fundraising. It's certainly been, you know, something Heather's taken the charge on more than me, but something that's been an important part of the process. The other part is, you know, trying to manage your expectations throughout the whole process. So we'll be presented with a case, you know, and we've been presented with a couple cases, and you start trying to build a relationship with the birth mother through texts and phone calls. You know, and obviously they're going through so much that when those things don't happen, it can be a challenging thing to go through. But we work as hard as we can to have as much empathy for the birth mother as possible, because no matter what we're feeling or going through, you know, they're the ones in the more difficult position, making the much harder decision.
We both want to be comfortable when we bring the child into our home, and so just knowing what Matt's comfortable with, like we talked about before, like those the drug that the mom is on, or if there's like a special needs baby. Like there was one case where they were missing a spinal cord. So knowing what would happen, like that's a lot to take in, and so you have to do what's best for your family.
Sometimes in building, we have to ask, is what I'm building worth it? Do I keep going or do I stop? What keeps us going? Well, it's the thought of someone we know is struggling and having to do life on their own. In the parable, the younger brother, the prodigal, is building an empire for himself and recklessly spending all of his money on himself. And because of starvation and failure and hopelessness, he's wondering who can help. Isolation forces the son to make a decision. Does he try to survive on his own? Or does he throw away his pride and return home? So he starts walking. And he makes the long trek back to the place he once called home. And at best, he hopes his father might receive him again. But as he journeys home, the prodigal son finds the father off in a distance, already waiting for his return. And he's shocked because his father runs towards him. His father embraces him, covers his dirty, unwashed clothes with a robe, and throws a huge party to celebrate his homecoming. Like, can you imagine what the son felt? Can you imagine what questions would have been running through his mind at that moment? Dad, why are you doing this? I'm in the wrong. Why are you celebrating me? I left home. I dishonored the community. This doesn't make any sense. And I'd imagine the father had questions for his son too. Because the journey to building a home, a family, a community, a church, it raises questions. But what keeps us going in the face of our own doubt and uncertainty is faith, hope, and love for others.
My son is an integral part of the show. My son loves Good Morning Aurora. He likes, I got a bunch of cameras on, he likes, and I just feed into that. And through extension, by being a show that's designed to help businesses and the little guy get his voice out, my other goal through the show is to help predominantly young African American kids, but kids of color and minorities, to allow them to be creative in a positive fashion. That's what it is. I went to Catholic school when I was a kid, right? And I felt after my high school years and everything, I felt like that wasn't adequate enough to explain what I was going through in life, right? Like that's not explaining this movie. You know, the description and the movie, it's not adding up. But then it wasn't until I joined the Navy that I started like actually seeing and experiencing and kind of understanding more the power of God and my experience as a human on Earth. That's kind of when I started seeing like, okay, you know what, like maybe I haven't been truly accessing the best parts of myself. God has played an impact in me because He has continually fortified my dedication to other people.
For the past month, God has been really working in my life, you know, so taking a risk hasn't been that hard for me, you know. It's been easier for me since that I've been involved with TPN and with my missional community group, you know. It's just been easier for me. My missional community has been very home-like, you know. I feel very comfort from them, very a warming, welcoming from them. I've been able to open up, you know. I don't know, I just feel really relaxed with them. I was telling some of my missional community group that my best friend just moved to Baltimore, and she's like telling me to move there, you know? And the first thought that ran across my mind was like, I don't want to leave TPN.
I think what keeps you going, what's kept us going through this whole thing is just knowing what the end result's going to be. We got into this wanting to bring a child into our family, and that's ultimately what's going to happen. It's really a matter of when and how, but it's the most important thing to us, and it's the thing that we can focus on when times get hard and things get difficult. We know that that's going to happen. The role God's played in this for us is, He's the author of our journey. So we can find comfort in knowing that whatever we're going to go through is what we're meant to go through, because we need to go through that in order to be the best versions of ourselves we can be for the birth mother and for the child that's going to come into our lives.
Building a home would incorporate our relationship, how it started off, and it's continually evolving. When we added Evangeline, like the morals and values that we were raised on, establishing our own, maybe altering our morals and values, and raising Evangeline that way, and inviting other people into our house as well.
Building a home with that group of people or community, those are the people that I live with every day, They know what I'm going through. We talk every other day. We share things together. We pray together. That's what building a home is.
Building a home means doing what we can as individuals to foster a welcoming, open, sharing environment where everybody can contribute. That's what it means. It means that making sure that everybody has a seat at the table, that everybody's able to sit down, take part, and engage in what we got here. That's what it means, welcoming people.
The word prodigal means to spend recklessly. Usually, when this parable is told, prodigal is used to describe the younger son. But the most prodigal individual in the story is the father. He was the one who not only spent recklessly to build the home for his two sons, but he spends even more to celebrate his reconciled family by throwing a party for the community to join him on. Perhaps the most prodigal thing any one of us can do is build homes and throw big parties in the community when someone finds home again. In this parable, Jesus is saying the only way to give and build like the prodigal father in the story is by experiencing the love and acceptance of our Heavenly Father. Only God's love can sustain our long-term efforts to help communities, expand families, and build homes. That's what these stories are about, and that's what the human story is about: finding a home and being a home for others. That's who God is, and that's what He does.
Hey, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. It was really inspiring. Just love hearing the stories of Curtis and of Chua and Matt and Heather. Can I encourage you that if you'd like to help the folks in this video, that you can help Good Morning Aurora, you can help Matt and Heather, you can help Chua and TPN. And so there's some links at the bottom of this video here, of this post, and then you can really encourage other people to not just watch this video, but to help these really awesome stories in helping Curtis, helping Matt and Heather, helping TPN build communities for others. And you can do that by going to theprodigal.net/build-a-home, and you'll find links to support Good Morning Aurora, the Wilkinsons, and TPN. Thanks for watching Building a Home. Merry Christmas.